Welcome to PrepAquatics.com. I'm Skylar King. As always, you can email me, Skylar@PrepAquatics.com. You can follow me on Twitter @SkylarPrep. Coming off the first weekend of conference meets, really by far the biggest week of conference meets, as we move into this second weekend where there's really only two teams that we're going to be watching closely in New Trier and Stevenson. It was, I don't know that we learned that much new, other than we did learn what Sadie Murphy was swimming based on what she swam suited, and I think we did get some things, however, confirmed. And ultimately, this comes down to final lineup decisions. Obviously, conference meets are these coaches' last chance to figure out what they're going to do with the sectional. And the coaches this last weekend now basically have like a week and a half to kind of stew on what they've seen for an entire season and submit their lineup accordingly for the sectional seed meeting. LT, I thought, came and did what they've been doing all year, which is light up the free relays. They win both, and LT was getting the job done without suits, and so that really made what they did on their free relays even more impressive. Hinsdale was rolling some girls in suits. Doesn't mean they're not going to be top six. However, I do think it shows us that, which is the handicap that they have in this race for a trophy this year, is that Kit Schneider cannot afford to not swim all three relays. I think the drop-off from Schneider to whoever their fifth person is the difference between top six and maybe not even scoring. And the reason that's such a big deal is because obviously you want your stars to get multiple individual swims whenever possible. And so while Hinsdale is going to have three relays in the top, almost assuredly. If they don't, then it's basically the end of their hopes, in my opinion. And fortunately for them, Kramer should have an excellent chance to be top six twice in the IM and the breaststroke, especially with the people that we know aren't going to be around in the IM that basically before the season started we expected to be. And that's huge. They need Bocas to score twice. And it really, Schneider needs to go out and win the 50 again if they're going to have the best possible chance to win. Because I don't think there's a great chance that they're going to win a relay. And the medley, I think, is definitely their best chance. They might have the best front half in the state with Schneider and Kramer. But the back half is vulnerable. And so, maybe they can hang on and pull it off. If they do, I think they almost, if they're swimming well enough to win the medley, I think they almost assuredly get a trophy. But if they're going to have the fastest front half in the state, it's not going to be by much because of what New Trier is going to be throwing out there. And their girls swimming the back half have just been swimming faster all year than Hinsdale's. But Hinsdale, LT, I think 5 top 6 relays between them. LT's medley isn't a contender, I don't think. But I also I don't see any clear-cut individual scores for them either. I'm fascinated to see where they put their girls. Because I think Adler and Phillips could score individually under the right circumstances, and so I'm interested to see, especially Phillips, what she's going to swim because she's very versatile. She's really a jack of all trades type, and could probably finish top 15, top 20, I would think for sure, in maybe 4 or 5 races. And so that makes it really tough when you're analyzing things and looking at what event might be a little weaker than another going into that sectional. But Hinsdale wins the meet. They're the better team. They're the deeper team, so they had more shaved swims. That's generally how it plays out. This is a conference that usually sets up basically a dual meet type scenario because you're not really seeing girls from the other schools getting in the middle of the LT and Hinsdale girls going 1, 2, 3, 4. And so it's hard to get separation unless you're winning every race. And because LT is able to win both fear relays, it definitely stayed more of a race. Hinsdale had an advantage. They were up to begin with because of diving. And really the death knell was Remy Bocas winning the backstroke from the slow heat for Hinsdale Central. And again, that was one of those, and she had a huge drop in the 500 free as well. And this is really what these meets are all about, is the shaved kids getting out there and swimming lifetime bests, dropping a bunch of time, because, and I want all the kids that ended their season, and for the seniors ended their careers at conference, I think you need to take a lot of pride in what you accomplished, not just for yourself individually, but don't discount how meaningful it is to your teammates that are going to be swimming at sectionals and at state, because as we discussed last week, you set the tone by showing them what's coming with a big time drop. And I think we can see it the other way, where there isn't that much of a time drop, and it can set kind of a paranoia and nervousness instead of a rush of excitement. And so if you went out and swam best times, I think you succeeded for your team twofold. And so, definitely take pride in that. And as you're watching your teammates the next couple of meets, I think there's a certain level of ownership that you can take in how well they're doing because of that confidence. Around the other meets, St. Charles North looked really good. Again, they're going to be in the mix for a trophy. Ignatius, dominant at the Metro Catholic meet, and they're still firmly in the mix for a trophy. I still think they can very much win the 200 free relay and be in contention to win the 400 free relay. And while before the season I said if they score a medley, I think it would lock up a state title for them. I think in this case, if they score a medley, it's definitely going to lock up a trophy for them, because they have more individual swims especially more individual swims that could potentially be top 6 than all these other teams that are competing with them behind New Trier. I have Julietta Tracy winning 2 races at this point. Maya Arroyo should very well be top 6 twice in the IM and the fly. And along with 2 top 3 type free relays, that's going to put them well over 100 points if no one else contributes. And I think there's other people that could still contribute for them as you look towards the end of the year. And then the DVC meet, I think you see how down the Naperville Aurora area is this year compared to where it usually is. And you're looking at schools that are going to be trying to sneak in with some bottom 6 relays and maybe some bottom 6 individual swims, which is very unusual. And it's part of why the state as a whole looks to be very down, is because the Naperville Aurora, the Valley schools, Naperville Central, Naperville North are usually power centers for driving fast times in the state. And, things go in cycles. It's just kind of a down cycle on the girls' side for them. And, if it picks back up, I think you'll see the state as a whole pick back up times-wise. Moving forward, we mentioned at the beginning, Stevenson, New Trier. I think it's really interesting what happens this weekend in terms of who's in a suit. I was looking at the CSL South meet, kind of the heat sheet view on Meet Mobile, because it's up right now, and New Trier is moving some girls around to give girls tapered swims, and so it should really give you a more clear picture of what this sectional lineup's going to look like for them, based on who's tapered and who's not, and ultimately, I think as long as things stay on an even keel for them, they're going to enter the state meet as the favorites, and everyone's going to be chasing them. And this is basically a New Trier Invitational. We're talking about being seeded first and second in relays. This is as down as the CSL South's been in a very long time, outside of New Trier. And Stevenson similarly, I think, should dominate at the North Suburban meet, and they also should be setting themselves up for, I spoke to a coach this past weekend who says they think Stevenson, they said, I think Stevenson sent in a full boat to state, meaning 2 in every individual event, every relay, and at a certain point, especially if the meet is going to be weaker, those are all lottery tickets, and you may not have the best chance ever to win the lottery, but if you have more tickets than everybody else, you still got to like your chances relative to the people you're competing with. And so if Stevens is able to pull that off in a week, then they obviously look even better and better for a trophy. And so we've talked about Hinsdale and Ignatius and St. Charles North, and we still haven't even brought up Rosary. All teams that, if things break right for them, can win a trophy, and so it's exciting in the respect that you have a big group of teams that we're going to have to be tracking as we get into Friday prelims in a few weeks to see who makes that move in a positive way and who makes the move in a negative way, and who, if no one makes a move in a negative way, we're just going to decide, okay, Team A had enough, Team B was 1 girl short, and that's why they're 5th and they're 3rd. And, I think that is, that's the exciting thing for me as we move forward, is seeing who's going to step up and really put their team in position to take home a trophy. I'll be I believe it's at Evanston for the CSL South meet, and then depending on when I'm able to get my next show up, so you may or may not see it since I've kind of been making the rounds. I'll be at the Naperville sectional, because that's probably going to be by far the fastest sectional, because everyone's going to have to taper. And so I think you'll see, as usual, a lot of qualifiers, even if we don't necessarily see a lot of high scores out of those teams at the state meet. They still got enough talent to send them there. And so it should be, per usual, a heavy qualifying meet at the Naperville sectional. As always, you can email me, SkylerPrepAquatics.com. You can follow me on Twitter at SkylerPrep. Next week, I will bore some of you with something I found really interesting that I spent a long time with this weekend, looking back at seasons past, sectionals, state. What do your times actually mean as you're watching the girls go these times, and what does it project forward to earn them at the state meet? That next time here at PrepAquatics.com.